They say words are harmless until the night listens. They say tears dry, pain fades, and time heals. But in the unseen world, every cry is a contract, and every utterance is recorded. This is not just a story about a child, it is a story about pressure, love, desperation, and the danger of speaking from a wounded heart. It is the story of a woman who begged the heavens for a child, and a spirit that answered. On its own terms, listen carefully, because in every village, there is a river that hears, and in every home, there are words that should never be spoken. In the heart of a quiet rural settlement, where mud houses stood shoulder to shoulder and tall palm trees whispered secrets to the wind, lived a woman named Amora. Amora had been married for 5 years, 5 long years of waking up beside her husband, Obina, feeling the warmth of his body, yet feeling the cold emptiness inside her womb. 5 years of counting moons, seasons, festivals, and harvest, while counting disappointments in silence. Her marriage had started like a song sung with joy. Obina loved her deeply. He chose her not because of what she could give him, but because of who she was. She was gentle, hardworking, respectful, and kind. When he brought her home as his wife, he believed love alone was enough to build a future, but love, in the eyes of the village, was never enough. In that village, a woman's worth was measured by one thing alone: the sound of a child crying in her heart. And Amora's house was silent. At first, the questions came softly. "Oh, it has been some time now. Maybe she is still settling. Children come when they want." But as months turned into years, the whispers grew louder, sharper, and crueler. Obina's family began to visit more often, unannounced, unwanted, and unwelcome. They came when Obina was away in the fields or traveling to nearby markets to trade. They came like storms, leaving destruction behind. His mother would sit on the wooden stool, her wrapper tied tightly, her eyes hard. "What kind of woman are you?" she would ask. 5 years, and nothing to show. The sisters-in-law laughed openly. "Maybe this one is not even a woman," one would say. "Look at her body, empty like a calabash without water." Another added, "Sometimes, they stopped calling her by her name, they called her man. Man, go and bring water. Man, sweep the compound. Man, what kind of wife are you?" Each word was a slap, each visit was a wound reopened. Amora endured it all in silence. She cried at night when Obina slept. She buried her face into her mouth so her sobs would not wake him. She smiled in the morning as if nothing happened. She cooked, cleaned, fetched water, and worked harder than anyone else, hoping effort could replace what her body had failed to produce. Obina noticed her pain. He confronted his family many times. "Leave my wife alone," he warned. "She is my choice. If you cannot respect her, do not come here." But the pressure did not stop. Instead, it found new paths. They told Obina to take another woman. "A man needs an heir. A tree must bear fruit. Do you want your lineage to end with you?" Obina refused every time. "I married Amora," he said firmly. "I did not marry a womb. I married a human being." They called him foolish. They mocked him behind his back. The village watched, and Amora watched herself slowly breaking. In their desperation, the couple tried everything. They visited men who claimed to speak for heaven. They fasted, prayed, poured oil, and knelt until their knees ached. They went to herbalists who mixed roots and leaves, promising miracles. They drank bitter concoctions, bathed in strange waters, and followed instructions that made no sense. Nothing worked. Every new month ended the same way, with disappointment. One night, after another humiliating visit from Obina's relatives, Amora broke. She sat on the floor, her back against the wall, her eyes swollen from crying. "Let him take another woman," she said quietly. Obina froze. "What did you say?" "I am tired," she whispered. "I cannot breathe in this house anymore. Your family will not stop until they see a child. Please. Let another woman give you what I cannot." Obina knelt before her. "No," he said, his voice trembling, "I will not trade you for a child. One day, we will laugh about this." But Amora no longer believed in laughter. Life became hell. Even the village women avoided her. Some pitied her. Others mocked her. Children stared. Pregnant women passed by proudly, rubbing their bellies like trophies. Amora began to withdraw from everyone, until one afternoon, after a particularly cruel insult, she walked alone, without telling anyone, toward the river at the edge of the village. That river was old, older than memory. It was said to be calm during the day and restless at night. Elders warned children never to play near it alone. Women whispered that the river listened, that it kept records. Amora did not care. She fell on her knees at the riverbank. The water was still, reflecting her broken face. Her tears dropped into the river, one after another. "I am tired," she cried. "I am tired of shame. I am tired of insults." Her voice shook as pain poured out of her like blood from an open wound. "Even if I give birth to a child and the child dies after 2 years, I will accept it," she shouted. "Just let me hold a baby. Let them respect me, even if it is for a short time." She spoke more words, dangerous words, words spoken from exhaustion, not intention, words spoken from pain, not wisdom. The river remained silent. Amora rose slowly, wiped her tears, and walked back home, unaware that something had hurt her. Months passed, then something changed. Amora began to feel strange. The night Amora went into labor, the sky was unusually quiet. No wind, no crickets, no distant drumbeats from neighboring compounds, only silence. The village midwives gathered around her, encouraging her with practiced voices. Obina stood outside the hut, pacing back and forth, sweat dripping down his face as though he was the one in labor. When the baby finally arrived, his cry pierced the stillness of the night like thunder. "A boy." The midwife announced. Obina fell to his knees, laughing and crying at the same time. He rushed inside and saw his son, small, fragile, alive. He held the baby with trembling hands, afraid his joy might shatter the moment. Amora smiled weakly on her mat. Tears streaming down her cheeks. She had done it. She had become a mother. By morning, the entire village knew. Ululations filled the air. Women came bearing gifts: yam, palm oil, wrappers, dried fish. The same mouths that once called her man now praised her. She is strong. She is blessed. She has finally proved herself. Obina's family arrived with smiles wide and forced humility. His mother carried the baby proudly, parading him like a victory. Amora noticed the change. The insults disappeared, the mockery vanished, her seat in gatherings was restored, respect had returned, not because she had healed, but because she had produced, for the first time in years. Amora slept peacefully, or so she thought. The first strange thing happened when the baby was 3 weeks old. Amora laid him carefully on his mat beside her bed. She said her prayers, kissed his forehead, and slept. In the morning, she woke up screaming. The baby was gone. Obina rushed in, panic in his eyes. They searched frantically, inside the hut, outside the hut, behind the doorway. Then they heard a soft sound, a baby's laughter. There, at the doorstep of the hut, lay their son, smiling, unhurt, as if nothing had happened. They laughed nervously, brushing it off. Maybe I placed him there without knowing, Amora said, but in her heart, Oni stirred. It happened again, and again. Every morning, the baby was no longer where he had been placed at night. Sometimes he was by the door. Sometimes near the hearth. Once, he was found outside, beneath the moonlight, giggling at empty air. Stranger still, each time they found him, he was laughing, not crying, not scared, laughing. As though someone had been playing with him. At night, Amora began to hear soft sounds, footsteps that did not belong to humans, gentle splashes of water where no water had been spilled, a faint humming, low, ancient, and unfamiliar. Obina heard nothing, but the baby did. Sometimes, Amora woke up to see her son sitting upright, staring at a corner of the room, his tiny hands clapping at something unseen. Who are you laughing with? She whispered, fear creeping into her voice. The baby laughed louder. Neighbors began to notice strange things. He laughs too much at night, one woman said. That child does not cry like others. His eyes follow things we cannot see. Amora tried to ignore it. She told herself it was imagination. Fear. Exhaustion. But deep within her, something stirred, an old memory she tried hard to bury, the river, the words she spoke. She shook her head violently. No, she whispered, it was pain talking. Time passed, the child grew, he began to walk, talk, and laugh, always laugh. But his laughter was often directed at empty spaces. Sometimes, he waved at corners. Other times, he crawled toward the doorway at night as though being called. Once, Amora woke up and found the door wide open. Her son was gone, she screamed. Villagers gathered with lanterns, searching the compound and beyond. They found him by the riverbank, sitting calmly, his feet inches from the water, laughing softly. No footprints led him there. They carried him home, shaken. That night, Amora could not sleep. She sat upright, clutching her son to her chest. Her heart pounded like a drum of warning. Then she felt it, a presence. The air grew cold. The oil lamp flickered. The water pot shook slightly, as though disturbed by an unseen force. Amora's breath caught. From the corner of the room, something moved, not walking, gliding. She could not see it clearly, only a shape, like rippling water given form. Her son suddenly wriggled free from her arms and reached out. Mama, he laughed, play. Amora screamed. The presence retreated. From that night on, the visits continued, always at night, always silent, always unseen, except by the child. 2 years passed, 2 years of unease wrapped in forced joy. Then came the afternoon. The family sat together, eating. Laughter filled the compound. The boy ran around happily, chasing imaginary companions. Suddenly, he stopped. He stared into empty space, his face lit up. Come. He said. Before anyone could react, he ran forward, straight into nothing. He froze, then he fell. The sound his body made when it hit the ground was final. Amora screamed. Obina rushed to him, lifting his limp body. His eyes were open, but empty. His laughter was gone. The child was dead. The village gathered quickly. Wails filled the air. Amora tore her clothes, rolling on the ground, screaming until her voice broke, "My son! My child!" Some villagers whispered, "She is cursed. A woman who cannot keep a child." Others showed pity. Among the crowd stood an old herbalist. He alone could see it. Near the child's body, the river spirit lingered, calm, unmoved. The herbalist sighed deeply. "The river has come to collect," he said. Amara froze. The memory crashed into her like thunder. The river, her words, her desperation. The herbalist spoke to the crowd. Words spoken in pain still carry power, he warned. The spirit only fulfilled the agreement. Amara collapsed. "I didn't mean it," she cried. "I was hurting." The herbalist shook his head sadly. "The unseen world does not understand regret," he said, "only words." Amora's scream echoed into the evening sky. She had asked for a child, and she had been answered.